How's it going, guys, and welcome back to Phoenix where we last left off. We're accusing Acro for being the murderer, and we're trying to figure out how he do it. She's right. I can't mess up here. I gotta give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster, and he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us how Mr. Dingling committed a crime, Mr. Wright. Present evidence. Well, do we have it? Do we have the bust? Oh, there it is! Max G's bust. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we have to present evidence. I'm going to present some evidence. Oh, hang on. Alright, back. We're supposed to present the bronze statue! As I suspected when we first saw it. What's that, a picture? It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. The bust? Oh my god, he's about to bust! It's quite a large bust, and because it's life-sized, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death, especially if it was dropped from the third-story window. Ah! See, this is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster, with the force of gravity and a Maximilian Galacticus amble bust. Order, order! So you're saying that the bus fell into the ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you're stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. Objection! How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible! Objection! Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro's a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, Acro. You cannot run away. I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix, right? What? Your Honor? The physical health of the witness is a material to this case. I demand that we get a proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? On karma? She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. Objection! There's absolutely no need for such testimony. Objection! The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond. The defense objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we will request expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. That woman will sink to any low to win a case. What the witness testimony? I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body that working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting that bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There is no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony. It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself far off enough to look, not to mention that he could not have known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have had led to even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on that matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I got to focus. Acro's physical state. I suppose I could have lifted something at the side of the bust. Have you ever lifted up the bust before? No, I've never actually lifted it up with my own two hands. But I should get to it. Don't you think? I can't let money outdo me on this. Money? That crazy monkey had lifted Max's bust before?
Okay, so he's implying that the monkey can lift the statue. Please continue with your testimony, Mr. Dingling. I have a strong upper body from working out as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. So what have you been doing to keep in shape? Well, honestly, I've given up on training. I don't have any plans to return to the trapeze or the tightrope.
You don't say.
But no offense, I'm not worried about losing to you in a race or anything.
Neither am I, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I wouldn't lose either, Slowpoke. I mean, Nick.
Whoa, how did this discussion turn to me all of a sudden? I suppose you could say that I'm stronger than the average bear. Okay, he's strong. However, lifting the bus and looking out the window would have been impossible.
And why is that?
If I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't got much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window. There is no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body.
How long do you think your recovery will take?
You have to remember my nerves were severely damaged. I'm currently undergoing some extremely intensive rehabilitation. It is still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%.
Let me remind you of another important point. If the Wither was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see it out the window.
That's true. That makes it impossible to have known the location of the Ringmaster's head.
What do you say would be impossible?
Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out the window. Thus, there is no way that I would know the location of the Ringmaster's head.
Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick?
Huh?
What if you turn things around? Maybe if you think it's sort of like this. If he knew the location of the Ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust.
That does make sense. If only I could prove it somehow. Okay, so he would know the location. The actor knew the location of Ringmaster's head without looking down. Mirrors? Wait a minute. Did someone sneeze, maybe? I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Thus, it would be realistic to the bust. So, okay, we were looking out the way around. He would know. How would he know without looking out the window that the Ringmaster was there? There might be some kind of signal or some kind of mirror.
If all you had to do was drop it, then it would have been a problem at all.
All I had to do was drop it. You're right, I could have done that. However, there is no way that I could land a direct hit on the Ringmaster's head. So that kind of makes your theory a bit pointless, doesn't it, Mr. Wright? I was strong enough to lift up the bust.
The main problem is how he could have aimed for the Ringmaster's head.
I wonder if he used some kind of tool to aim for the Ringmaster.
That's the ticket, Nick. Show him what you got.
I have to be careful. I have to find something that fits perfectly with the case.
I don't remember us finding any sort of tool.
Oh, you know of the monkey, and it implied the monkey is actually able to carry that thing. Let's see the picture again. Something shiny. I was found. That's not shiny at all. I can only think of the monkey or the small. Is this shiny? I won't think so. Oh, this might be a shiny. I can only think of the monkey actually being the one doing it.
But maybe we will look something.
I suppose I could have did something at that size. The monkey. But I don't know when to like say that. I suspect the monkey got the monkey to do it. Oh, the box! could hear the sound of him trying to lift up the box, which is like 20 pounds. Alright, let's represent the box here.
Objection!
Acro. You didn't really need to lean out the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, if I may add.
Objection!
You silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence?
But I did such a good job hinting. Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over. The same. Question is, who placed the wooden box there?
Who?
When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bus came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. Oh, it was a trap! As soon as he's lifted it, You mean... If the bus were to fall upon the point marked by the wooden box, there would be no way that it could have missed the head of the victim.
No!
Order! This is unbelievable. Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward. So the next question I have is, who placed the wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down.
Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright. The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box.
That's why the box was so specially made.
Specially made?
Indeed, it had the most peculiar feature. The weight of the box. It has to be the weight. Yeah, 20 pounds. It boasts a small but strong lock. Yeah, it has to be like the weight of the box. The box has a remarkable weight.
Wait,
According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds. Just to lift up this wooden box would have required... Oh, I see. One would have to squat down, then lift it up with their body, wouldn't you say?
that's exactly what I was trying to point out.
The box is also very large. The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it?
That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be at approximately the same place. Fool!
These birds. Birdie.
Does he ever bother to listen to me anymore?
I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills.
Did you do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza?
Mr. Wright may have vivid imagination, but I could never have done that what he's proposing.
What?
Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust?
Yeah.
Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria. Then what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I couldn't possibly leave the lodging house by myself.
That means...
You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bus from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bus from the cafeteria to my room?
The monkey! The monkey! The monkey! The monkey likes shiny things, right?
And look at this statue, look at it!
It's super shiny!
If it was holding cards, that is. And he implied that the monkey could carry it. Well, indirectly.
You see, Mr. Phoenix, right? Explain that! The Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice.
The monkey took it. Not for the case of the murder.
That is exactly how the witness could have carried the bus from the cafeteria.
Yep, we definitely have a problem here. This is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen once and for all. All right, Mr. Wright, let me hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bus from the cafeteria back to his room? Monkey!
Take that!
A monkey? Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size. Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist's ring.
So, what are you saying? The witness had the monkey steal the bust?
Of course, he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home. Home? Money lives in Acro's room. Acro's room?
Objection! But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Objection!
Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court records. My, those are some very nice cards he's holding.
Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny.
Acro? Money is a strong monkey, right?
It'd be easy for him to bring the bus back to your room.
Bruh. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for a new roommate. Order! Order! I said order! Alright, everyone's quiet. Mr. Von Karma, where is the bus in question at this moment?
I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak.
This is a rather strange turn of events. But let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. Who would have it happen? What would have happened then? Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon.
Wait! Do you mean that this bus was the murder weapon purely by accident?
It's possible. It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we have more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer. Moron! Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy, however. His argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow.
Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney.
Fraud?
You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix, right?
And what is that?
You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magician client was spotted at the scene of the crime. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright?
Nick, don't let her beat you now.
I won't. This is my chance to turn the trial around.
When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime.
One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Phoenix, right? Well, we kind of know what happened here. It's just like, how am I able to explain it?
Who was the murderer the clown saw?
The bust.
Take that!
He saw Max's... I asked who was the other person most saw at the scene. The evidence has nothing to do with the question.
Objection!
En contraire, mon frère, it does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust.
Objection! What are you talking about? Have you ever tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette that he saw was wearing a cloak.
There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to a bust. It would have been easy to hang one of the cards in the bust's hands.
Idiot! Who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust?
It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? The question is utmost important in this case, don't you agree?
Oh, he caught me.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? wouldn't it have been... It wouldn't have been the monkey this time. Wouldn't it have been him? But how did he get the cloak? Oh, what? I don't make sense. Really?
Take that!
Fool! Him? Are you saying he was the victim himself? Russell Berry? That's what I'm saying. I mean, the victim himself placed the cloak on the... Oh yeah, he did walk out with it. Placed on the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself! Nick, do you really have to handle all of this? Do you really have a handle on all of this?
I'm fine, Maya. I'm fine putting it all pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint. Anyways, alright. So you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached the rope to the bust and dangled the bust in front of his bedroom window, directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house, but none other than the ventriloquist and his puppet, Ben and Trillo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when the actor took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bust hit the victim... Oh, it got caught on the cards? Oh, so that's why they couldn't see the white flowers. You wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet. What? They impacted the bust and the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound of a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Mo Curls, the clown. When Mo looked out the window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Mo saw the bust being raised with a cloak dangling on it. Primarily because in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out of his window, so he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is about how the magical murder disappearance into the sky came to be. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could only have been you!
Acro's been playing mind games with all of us.
He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter, the power of evidence and the power of my whip. Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence?
Nick, they say they want evidence.
I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method, but there's still something unusual about Mo's eyewitness account.
Unusual?
A contradiction, actually.
Okay then, use that and get out of this jam.
Uh-oh. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence that the court has that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick of this magic case. Okay. I don't remember much because it takes so long to play these games. Okay, that has to do with the hat or the... Yeah, the hat, because Mo saw the hat, but the hat was found at the crime scene, so he could have only have seen the bust's hat.
Take that!
Only this. The problem is Max's 3 symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were the problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Yesterday, there were 2 contradictions in Mo's testimony. The silk hat was one, and the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all of these contradictions. You fool! Did you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday? He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Mo saw was actually the bust's. Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see that silk hat. Well, sort of.
Objection!
Fine, you got one. But what about the other contradictions? The other contradictions?
Remember what ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night.
But that clown's testimony doesn't match.
The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick?
Of course, I can explain all of it.
What was that?
Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? They were not visible. Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that their white roses would end up in the back of the bust. Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bust. Order, order! This is quite a shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads.
Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe we'll finally throw in the towel.
Birdie, Bye, Birdie.
Well, so much for that theory.
Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. The witnesses feel an incredible depth of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Well, it wasn't meant for the ringmaster, it was meant for Regina. Because he did put it in her pocket. But Regina was like, it's not mine, put it on the bulletin board, and then the ringmaster saw that and pulled it off. And went to see what that's about. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. Already figured it out, boys. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his real relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now.
What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster.
Acro's motive. It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well, however, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess. I know what this is going. To be continued? Oh, shit! I guess this is a good point to take a break here myself. Save here. So what do you think, guys, happened? What do you guys think happened? I think I figured it out. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you guys with a high five. Hope you enjoyed.